Hey, comic book fans, welcome to another edition of the Cosmic Comic Book Broadcast. It's been a while since I said those words. It's been so long since I made a video, and I thought, yeah, after disappearing for so long, it's time to come back and actually continue with my YouTube channel. And just want to know, my first question is, did you miss me? Well, I certainly missed doing this, and it's good to be back. Comic book broadcaster here. I'm going to share a few comics with you. This is going to be hopefully the start, once again, I know I've said this before and I failed to do it, the start of a series of videos where I share some of the comics that I have that's in my collection, my humble, small collection, I might add. Now, why did I disappear for a little while there? Well, if you consider that little while was a year plus, yeah, well, a number of things happened. Number one, I was actually getting ready to do another video and also to update my blog, and I wanted to combine the two. What I didn't expect was this right here. Let's have a good look at that. My hard drive on my laptop decided that, nah, we're not gonna let it happen, and it crashed just like that. So 5 years plus of work, of pictures, everything suddenly just went up in smoke. Yeah, it was a real trying time for me because I had to do everything all over again. And this is not only for my videos and my blog, it's also for my work, and it was a terrible time. But that happened first. After that, something else happened, and I'll talk about that in my future videos, hopefully. And oh, before I continue any further, I noticed that I had a few views on my YouTube channel, and I'd like to thank you for it. And if you've been watching my videos, thank you. It's helping to keep it alive. All right, the Cosmic Comic Book Broadcast today. What have I got for you? Well, this is something I bought just a few years ago. It was during that time when DC Comics had already entered into their New 52 phase, and they were celebrating Batman's 75th anniversary. I was away on business, and I walked into a huge, you might say, a huge comic book store. Well, they sold just about everything. They had a great comic section, and I saw this right here. I saw this, and I was wondering to myself, should I get this? Should I get this? I needed to catch a cab to the airport. I only had about half an hour, so I stood there and I was wondering to myself, should I get this? Should I get this? And it didn't take long for me to make up my mind. I picked it up and I just ran with it, got a cab, and went to the airport. So just want to share this with you. I'm sure a lot of you may have bought this one. If you're a Batman fan, you would not have missed a chance to buy this item. I'm glad I bought it, even though the trade paperbacks they had inside in this slipcase is something I've already read. In fact, all three of the trade paperbacks I've already read, but it was just the slipcase itself. You know, I thought, yeah, I'm gonna get it. It's gonna be part of my collection, and I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, it's pretty nice. My only problem is I don't know where to put this. I don't have any bags or boards big or thick enough for this, but I'll try and keep it in good shape. So far so good. It's been a few years and it still looks pretty good. Just to let you know, for those of you who have not seen this one, this is when DC Comics were celebrating Batman's 75th anniversary with this spectacular slipcase collection featuring the classic trade paperbacks, 3 of his greatest epics by some of comics' top talents. And I guess the choices they made were pretty good. First of all, you had Batman: The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, and is it Klaus Janson or Jensen? I've never quite figured that one out. Anyway, there's also Batman Hush by Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, and Scott Williams, another excellent trade paperback. And there's Batman Volume 1. Now this one is a trade paperback from when DC had already gone into the New 52 phase, and this one is by Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo. That particular title, Batman, the New 52 Batman, I enjoyed that so much because had a great team there, Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder, you see, I can't even pronounce that correctly. Anyway, let's take a look at the 3 trade paperbacks. Oh yeah, Beautiful. I like this. Okay, so this is what I bought that day. I have had no regrets about it because it is beautiful. All right, as mentioned, Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Returns is the first trade paperback in this slipcase collection, 75th anniversary of Batman. Frank Miller, Klaus Janson, and Lynn Varley. Well, basically, this is it's collected the miniseries, the prestige format miniseries of Dark Knight Returns. And if you've read it already, you would have seen this. You would have gone through each and every page. What's interesting is here is that it's got all the covers, and also some little bit of extras. Yeah, a story for 64 pages, a DC graphic novel by Frank Miller. This was from 1985. So you've got his ideas of what he wanted to do with The Dark Knight Returns, a few sketches and so on and so forth. So if you're a fan of what Frank Miller's done, yeah, I'm sure most of you have read the, shall we say, the sequels to The Dark Knight Returns. Not quite well received, Dark Knight 2, and I kind of lost interest in Dark Knight 3, but I still like this one. The original was best. This was from a time when this miniseries came out. This was from a time when I wasn't collecting actively, so it's good that I managed to find this particular trade paperback, because yeah, it gives me a chance to read the entire story in one trade paperback. Beautiful, this one. From The Dark Knight Returns, we go on to Batman. This is the New 52 Batman, The Court of Owls. Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, and Jonathan Glapion. Yes, when I first heard about the New 52, I was skeptical as everyone else. I guess they were feeling the same thing, but ever since then they've gone through how many changes? From New 52 to Convergence to Rebirth, and I still think that Snyder and Capullo did a great job on Batman. This is, yeah, it collects the first few issues of New 52 Batman, and I must say, art-wise, I am a fan of Greg Capullo, and story-wise, definitely a big fan of Scott Snyder. Court of Owls is one of the great storylines that he scripted. Also, one thing good about this trade paperback, we've got some little extras here and there, covers and so on and so forth. Variant cover gallery, we've got quite a few, so if you're a fan of stuff like this, look at that. It's beautiful, isn't it? And finally, in this collection, we have Batman Hush. Batman Hush is by Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, and Scott Williams. Everyone knows that. Everyone's seen, I think a lot of people have had the individual issues to this particular series. I know I have it somewhere, and those were the days when I was collecting as actively as possible. I was buying, making sure that I would buy all the Batman issues that were coming out that month, and I made sure that I have them in my collection. I think I still do, and once in a while it's good to be able to reread this particular miniseries, or rather this storyline from the Batman issues, and it's good to see some good old-fashioned art again, one by Jim Lee, of course, and Scott Williams. Now this, as I mentioned, if you haven't actually read Hush, try and pick it up. It's really, really good, and it's one of those series that time when it brought Jim Lee back to active drawing again for a mainstream or a main title for DC Comics. Going back once again to the slipcase, I think it was a really good buy. I really, really am happy with it, and if I had procrastinated and said, nah, I won't buy it this time, I'll buy it next week or whatever, yeah, I think I would have regretted it. And with New 52, when it went along, I also followed Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo again, because they really, really did a great job on the Dark Knight. And this is one of my recent buys when I bought volume 8 of the Batman trade paperback. Yep, super heavy, again by the team of Snyder, Greg Capullo, and Danny Mickey. Again, great story, great artwork. And I also bought volume 9 of Batman Bloom. This was when, I do believe, I could be mistaken here, but this was when Snyder and Capullo were moving on to other projects and so on and so forth. And it marked the return of Batman with a newly designed costume by Greg Capullo. Yeah, really good stuff. Haven't actually had a chance to read everything here, but I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly happened in this one. This is something that I'm saving for another day so I can read it as well. All right, there you go. And finally, in my sharing today, I gotta admit that I wasn't a big fan of New 52 because some of the titles just weren't impressing me that much. But when they came out with Rebirth, I guess I gave it a chance, and I bought this particular DC Universe Rebirth. Well, this is, if I'm not mistaken, the Prestige or the Special Edition, the Deluxe Edition. I stand corrected, the Deluxe Edition, and I'm glad I did. It features really strong, really good story by Jeff Johns. I'm really glad to see that he's writing and bringing his quality of writing back to DC Comics. Art-wise, you've got a great team here. Gary Frank, Ethan Van Sciver, Ivan Reyes, and Phil Jimenez. They all did a great job in this one. Oh, a little bit of the price tag is still on here, but right there. One of my beefs is that I do not like price tags on my comics. Okay, that came out rather rather easily. Yeah, I like this particular issue. I also have the regular version, which I bought, but I wanted to buy this deluxe edition because it's got some extras, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, character designs and so on by the team that gave you this book. Really, really good stuff. And also a look back at, well, I guess the cat's already out of the bag. The last page revealed that the Watchmen had something to do with what happened to the DC Universe, so I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm looking forward to learning more about why and how the Watchmen are in the DC Universe. And also, for those of you who've been following, there are 3 Jokers in the DC Universe now, so that's another story that I'm looking forward to reading as well. Yeah, so basically for the return of the Cosmic Comic Book Broadcast, this is what I've got for you today to share with you. I hope you like the video, and if you'd like to share something with me as well, you can like the video and maybe subscribe, or yeah, you can actually contact me, and we could basically talk about comics and so on and so forth. I'm going to try and come back with another video as soon as I can, and I hope that's in the near future. It's been a while since I've done this. I've had so many setbacks in the past few months, but it feels good to be back, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you again next time, comic fans. This is the Comic Book Broadcaster saying take care, enjoy your comics, and we'll talk again some other time on the Cosmic Comic Book Broadcast.